Well, hello everybody. Hey, here's what I need to do with you today. If you're watching this video, you didn't miss anything new. But what you did miss is that we combined all 5 kinds of factoring so far. It's kind of like we put them in a barrel, we shuck them up, and we dumped them out. What I've done with you so far is I've grouped them for you, but today we just mix them all up. Now what you need to have in front of you is your Day 6 class examples. You should have a flow chart that I've given you. If not, you should have picked that up. That flow chart looks like that. And then, of course, there will be an assignment for afterwards. So have that in front of you. There's just 18 on them, guys. I'm going to refer back and forth to this flow chart. If you can get comfortable using that flow chart, I will let you use that on the upcoming quiz today and the upcoming test. So here goes. There's your solutions to your Day 5 frowny face factoring. If you need to look at that. You can always pause the video if you didn't get them all looked at. Now, I didn't show my work because it all depends on how you rewrite the middle 2 terms. But those are the correct solutions, of course. Now, let's focus on this flow chart for a second. It looks really kind of confusing until you've used it a little bit. Remember, there's 5 kinds of factoring. This flow chart is just a series of questions that you'll ask yourself. Here's question number 1. You will ask yourself, is there anything in common? Is there anything in common? If there is, you're going to factor that out, and it's going to look like something out front and then a parenthesis. If the answer is no, you're going to come down and ask yourself, how many terms are there? If there's 2 terms, I'm telling you that if we didn't do this, I'm telling you it's going to be a difference of squares. Now what I need you to be able to do is know what a difference of squares means. A difference of squares is something like 16x squared minus 25. I'm telling you that the signs are different, and then you're just putting the square roots in there. So you'll need to know what a difference of squares is. If there's 3 terms, we have 3 possibilities. What you'll ask yourself first is it a perfect square trinomial? Guys, remember, a perfect square trinomial looks something like this, where this square root times that square root doubled equals the middle. Now, I'm telling you that your answer will be a quantity squared. Don't let this plus minus mess you up, because your answer will not have both a plus and a minus. You'll need to know if it's a plus or a minus, and it's always that first sign. So, there it is if it's a perfect square trinomial. If it's not a perfect square trinomial, you'll then ask yourself, hey, is my a value 1? If it is, I'm telling you that the answer will go parenthesis, parenthesis, x and an x, and then you'll have to go figure out the rest, which we'll review here in just a heartbeat. If the a value is not 1, then it's frowny face. So I'm going to refer back and forth to this flow chart a little bit throughout the day. I'm hoping this video doesn't really last more than about 25 minutes, so hang with me. Here goes your number 1. The first thing that you're going to do is ask yourself, is there anything in common? The answer is no. So the answer is no. You come down, how many terms? There's 2. I'm telling you it's going to be a difference of squares then. So to factor this difference of squares, 2 terms, a plus and a minus, and then you do the square roots, 5x and a 4. Set them each equal to 0, and I got negative 4/5 and positive 4/5. Then you're done on that one. Now guys, remember, 4 out of the 5 we can just look at and write the answer. Here goes your number 2. You'll look at 8x squared minus 24. The first thing you're going to ask yourself is there anything in common? In this case, the answer is yes. So I'm going to use the phrase go big. I need the biggest number that goes into 8 and 24. So not a 2, not a 4, but I need an 8. So I got 8x, x minus 3, equals 0. And then my 2 solutions, 0 and 3. Here goes my number 3, 16x squared minus 72x plus 81. Guys, I would not do this to you. This would not be a frowny face. I would not make you go 16 times 81 and find factors of that. So, on your flow chart, you'd ask yourself, anything in common? The answer is no. You'll come down, how many terms? You'll come down and say 3. Question number 1, is it a perfect square trinomial? If it is, then the square root of the first times the square root of the last doubled is the middle. So this will factor into 4x minus 9 quantity squared. I need that quantity squared, and it was minus because of that minus right there. My only solution, 9/4. Now, let's keep on keeping on. Here goes your number 4. Once again, you'll ask yourself, is there anything in common? The answer was no. You'll say, how many terms? You'll say 3. You'll ask yourself, was it a perfect square trinomial? No. Next question, is a equal to 1? The answer is yes. I'm telling you that it's going to factor into 2 parentheses with an x and an x. 2 parentheses with an x and an x. You'll need to know how to bring it home from there. 2 numbers that multiply to be negative 10. So one's positive and one's negative. That you can make add up to be negative 3. So negative 5, positive 2. So I've got a minus 5 there, a plus 2 there. My 2 solutions, 5 and negative 2. Here goes my number 5. 49x squared minus 25. I'm hoping the 49 and 25 rings a bell. If not, anything in common? Nope. How many terms? 2. I'm telling you it's got to be a difference of squares. And a difference of squares is going to factor into 2 parentheses, a plus and a minus. So it's going to look like this. 2 parentheses. There's a plus and a minus. And then I need you to know how to bring it home from there. So 7x and 7x. 5 and a 5. We'll set each of those equal to 0. So I've got negative 5/7 and positive 5/7. So it's just figuring out what kind it is, guys. My number 6, in this case, there's 3 terms. A is 1, so my Q to you is 2 parentheses, x and an x. I need you to go get 2 numbers that multiply to be negative 27, so one's positive and one's negative, that you can make add up to be positive 6. So I need a positive 9 and a negative 3. So my 2 solutions, negative 9 and positive 3. Here goes my number 7. You'll ask yourself if there's anything in common, so the answer is no. There's 3 terms, so you'll ask yourself if it's a perfect square trinomial. The answer is no because of the 2, so it must be frowny face. So 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. I need you to get me 2 numbers that multiply to be negative 8 that you can make add up to be positive 7. So I need an 8 and a negative 1. And then we rewrite it. Now remember, guys, it doesn't matter if you go plus 8x minus 1x or minus 1x plus 8x. I'm going to put that negative first. So I got minus x plus 8x minus 4. Remember, we group these 2 together, take out an x, which leaves a 2x minus 1, plus a 2, plus a 4, which leaves a 2x minus 1. My parentheses are then the same, so I got 2x minus 1 and x plus 4. Looks like my 2 solutions, positive 1/2, negative 4. Here goes my number 8. The first question that you'll ask yourself if there's anything in common, and the answer is yes. So go big. I'm going to take out a 9 and an x, which leaves an x plus 3. set each equal to 0, so I got 0 and negative 3. And we're at that point, some of you won't need the flow chart, some of you will. Here's my number 9, 25x squared minus 60x plus 36. I'm hoping the 25 and 36 ring a bell. There's nothing in common, so there's 3 terms. So you'll ask yourself, is it a perfect square trinomial? So you'll ask yourself, is 5x times 6 doubled the middle term? And if it is, this factors into 5x, the first sign that you see, and 6. I need that quantity squared. So this just has one solution. My number 10, 3x squared plus 13x minus 10. As soon as I see a 3, it's got to be frowny face factoring, because there's 3 terms, there's nothing in common, and I don't know the square root of 3. So I need to go negative 30. I need factors of negative 30, so one's positive and one's negative, which you can make add up to be positive 13. So I need to use a negative 2 and a positive 15. So I'm going to rewrite this as 3x squared. Does not matter which way. I'm going to go plus 15x minus 2x minus 10. The reason I wanted the minus here, so I could remind you what happens. Out of these, I'm going to take out a 3x, which leaves at x plus 5. I'm going to take out a negative 2, which leaves an x, changes this sign, plus 5, because negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. Now, make sure you write this step out, because now it's going to be factored. 3x minus 2 and x plus 5 equals 0. I've got 2/3 and negative 5. My number 11, 225x squared minus 144. I'm hoping that you recognize a difference of squares. There's 2 terms. They do have something in common, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to factor this into 15x minus 12, 15x plus 12. Now when I set this equal to 0, I get 12/15 and negative 12/15, but that's not my true answer. I need to reduce those. So it looks like I'm going to have 4/5 and negative 4/5. So we need to reduce those. Number 12, I got 5x squared plus 20x. The first thing that you'll ask yourself, is there anything in common? And in this case, the answer is 5 and an x, which leaves an x plus 4. So guys, remember, when you factor something out, it'll be out front by itself, and then followed by parentheses. In this case, my solution 0 and negative 4. I've got 3 more that we can use our flowchart for, and then we're going to have 3 where we got to bump it up just a little bit. So here's my number 13, 9x squared plus 60x plus 100. You could do frowny face factoring, guys, but I'm not going to make you go get the factors of 900. So that means there's probably a better way. 3 terms. I know these square roots, so let's see if it's a perfect square trinomial. Square root of 9x squared is 3x. Square root of 100 is 10. Multiply those and double, I get 60. So this factors into 3x plus 10, quantity squared. My solution, negative 10/3. Let me mention again, I need that squared. If you don't have it, it's not going to affect this answer, but it's not factored correctly. Here goes my number 14. Nothing in common. 3 terms. So you ask yourself, is it a perfect square trinomial? The answer is no, because we don't know the square root of negative 15. So that makes this a frowny face. 4 times negative 15 is negative 60. Factors of 60, if I need to list them all, 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, 4 and 15, 5 and 12, 6 and 10. Find the ones that you can make add up to be 4. So it looks like they're going to be way down here. I need a positive 10 and a negative 6. So when I list this, let's go 4x squared. Remember, guys, this part doesn't matter. Negative 6x plus 10x minus 15. Group those two together. Take out a 2 and an x, which leaves a 2x minus 3. Take out a positive 5, which leaves a 2x minus 3. Factor out that 2x minus 3. So now it's factored. Let's go get our two solutions. 3 halves, negative 5 halves. Here goes my next one. Notice I left those factors because I peeked ahead. I need factors of positive 60 in this case. So here goes. Anything in common? The answer is no. 3 terms, not a perfect square trinomial. So my A value is 1. So we get to go straight to here. I need 2 numbers that multiply to be 60 that I can make be negative 19. So I know they need to be the same sign, and in this case both negative, so I'm going to use a negative 4 and a negative 15, which means I got solutions of 4 and 15. So guys, video is about 17 minutes so far. Each of the remaining problems is going to take about 2 minutes, so we're going to be about 23 minutes. So here goes our number 16. These are a little bit tougher, and do not panic. It's just adding in a baby step. So here's my number 16. We're going to look at 8x cubed minus 56x squared plus 98x. Ask yourself if there's anything in common. And the answer is yes. We're going to take out a 2 and an x, which leaves me 4x squared minus 28x plus 49. Now, our next step is, don't do this to your sheet, ignore this 2x for a second. Start all over. Look at 4x squared minus 28x plus 49 and factor it. So you'll ask yourself, anything in common? Nope, we've already done that. 3 terms. So you'll ask yourself, is this a perfect square trinomial? The answer is yes. That square root times that square root double is 28. So the parenthesis part factors into 2x minus 7 squared. Bring down that 2x that we factored out originally. My zeros in, 0 and 7 halves. (17), the hardest one on the whole sheet. So we're going to look at it and see if there's anything in common. For sure, an x. And also 3 goes into all of them. Which leaves me a 6x squared minus 7x minus 3. So once again, guys, ignore this. Look at the parentheses and start all over on your flowchart. 3 terms, not a perfect square trinomial. A isn't 1, so it must be frowny face. So I'm going to go 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. 2 numbers that multiply to be negative 18 that I can make be negative 7. Looks like negative 9 and positive 2. Let's factor this then. So I've got 6x squared minus 9x plus 2x minus 3. I wrote it that way on purpose so that these two have nothing in common. I'm going to take out a 3 and an x, which leaves a 2x minus 3 out of those first two. I'm going to take out a positive Notice these have nothing in common, so there's a 1, which leaves a 2x minus 3. So the new parenthesis part went to 2x minus 3 and 3x plus 1. And then bring down that 3x from the original. So my three answers, 0, 3/2, and negative 1/3. And then last but not least, number 18, there's definitely something in common. That's what these problems are dealing with. So if I look at 125x cubed minus 20x, looks like a 5 goes into them and an x. So I'm left with 25x squared minus 4 equals 0. Ignore that 5x, but look, focus at 25x squared minus 4. Difference of squares. So I got a 5x, a 5x, a 2, and a 2. Looks like my three zeros, 0, 2/5, and negative 2/5. So guys, there was the lesson. Just a mixture of what we have done so far. Good luck on the assignment. Means we got a review sheet coming up and then a test. Take care.